I'm Stephen John Drew from the official GonnaGeek.com show, a weekly geek news podcast that is a part of the Gonna Geek Network, just like the show you're checking out now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other awesome geeky shows at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
Stand by for a brand new episode of All Things Good and Nerdy.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the actual intro for episode 415 of the All Things Good and Nerdy podcast. If you were watching this live, you were probably wondering, Chris is talking, I hear nothing. Yes, the Windows updates got me again, so I had to reconfigure all of my audio stuff on the fly. But don't worry, luckily we got all that fixed 30 seconds into the show versus 30 minutes into the show, because we got a pretty good one today. But before we get to all that goodness, let me start and introduce my regular co-host. I'm Chris, joining me as per usual. One, Willie D. Nelson. At least I think it's him.
No, this is Bill Nelson, his twin brother. He told me to fill in. I don't know what to say on here, but I'm glad to be here, everybody.
So he must be the good twin versus the evil twin, is all I can figure. And then,
we're both assholes.
As per normal, Anthony Bachman also joining me today.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. I got all the hair, and somebody shaved our Willie, so I don't know what the fuck's going on. Quarantine's making shit weird, people. It's making shit weird.
No, he's out doing, I don't know, man. He paid me $20 to come here, man. That's all I know.
$20, he paid you way too much. Just saying.
All right, man, $20, $20, and I ain't gay anything, man, but you know how it goes.
Well, we do have an exciting show for you today. We've got one of our favorite guests lined up, so I'm going to toss things over to Anthony to do the intros here, because we always defer to him when it comes to the comic side of the house.
Once again, I'm lucky enough to be on an email list and get updates before some things happen. So I was lucky enough to know that a Kickstarter project was coming. Got to check out the cool preview. And joining us once again, our favorite detective and his boy Panther storyteller, David Pepose is here.
Hi, thank you guys so much for having me. Pleasure to catch up with you. And yeah, I'm really excited to talk with you guys about my new Kickstarter project, the OZ.
He's kind enough to have said it before the show so that we didn't make asses of ourselves. Because
excuse me?
Oh, other than Bill Nelson, of course.
Bill's going to make an ass of himself no matter what.
He paid me an extra $5 and make sure I kind of embarrass him a little bit, but I mean, I said he was going to pay me that. He know he's good for it.
Yeah, well, I paid you to make sure that we shaved that thing off your chin.
You don't look recognizable at all anymore, Bill Nelson.
Well, I never had that weird thing that he always did. He's always the hippie of the family, the black sheep, man. We don't ever liked him, to tell you the truth.
I think you might have misunderstood when somebody said when you shave your will, you look bigger. I think you might have misunderstood the phrasing there. But
no. I went from 6 foot forward to about 6'7", man. This thing is
because the gravity was
kind of looking
down.
pretty good.
Yeah, it was weighing you down.
It was weighing you down.
Yeah, it was compressing the disc in my spine, and that ain't never good, man. You know that.
All right. So in all seriousness, what we are here for today, at least the first half of the show, is David's got a Kickstarter. It has begun gangbusters so far. It looked like, what was it, funded in 2 hours? Hit the initial goal?
Funded in 2 hours. Yeah. We're at, I think, 450% and climbing. So that's crazy. But yeah, I mean,
I just refreshed the page. It says you've got 737 backers with 23 days to go. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's.
But first things first.
Yeah.
Calvin and Hobbes are raised in Sin City.
Uh-huh.
Then we get Die Hard at a wedding.
Yep.
So what is like the 2-sentence call for the OZ?
The OZ is the Hurt Locker and Mad Max if it took place in the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Our
now, I never seen the Hurt Locker. What's that about?
Oh, jeez.
The Hurt Locker follows bomb specialists in Iraq, and sort of like seeing how their high stress job has kind of affected them in the field. But yeah, the OZ we recast Dorothy Gale killing the Wicked Witch of the West as something like a botched regime change. And so when Dorothy clicks her heels 3 times and goes back to Kansas, she's inadvertently left Oz in this power vacuum that leads them spiraling into years of brutal civil war. So our story picks up a generation later with Dorothy's granddaughter and namesake, who's a disillusioned Iraq war veteran. And this new Dorothy has really taken some trauma and guilt and scars back with her from her time in Iraq and Afghanistan. And so she's trying to put the pieces of her life back together in Kansas when a tornado strikes, and she's dropped into the war-torn land of Oz. So she's going to have to navigate her past and her grandmother's former friends if she hopes to survive the occupied zone, or as the locals call it, the OZ.
I can only predict it's going to be pretty easy getting those flying monkeys with modern weaponry. You know, a little AK-47, boom, boom, boom.
Mm-hmm. We that was actually one of my favorite visuals of the whole piece. We've got some really cool. We got some cool stuff with the winged monkeys. If you thought they were dangerous in the Judy Garland film, you ain't seen nothing yet. When I came up with the concept, I realized very quickly like how you could definitely reimagine L. Frank Baum's mythology as something a little more weaponized, a little more dangerous. The Land of Oz has teeth, and our new Dorothy, with her military training and with her soldier's eye, she's kind of the perfect person to lead this revolution. She sees the wild magic of Oz, and she sees it as a weapon to defend herself and those around her. And those are the kind of moments that have been like the most fun for me to write. You look at the Wizard of Oz's balloon, you wouldn't see it as a platform for a halo jump, but Dorothy
That's cool
would.
to think of, though.
Yeah, Dorothy would. And so those are the sorts of things, I've said, and this is something that I talked with my team a lot about, is I said, what's the Mad Max version of Star Wars look like? And it's the OZ. We got that grip.
To hard sell me anymore. I'm sold.
I mean, I just
Max
pictured
Star
a bunch
Wars?
of leather and space. That's what I saw, but that sounds better what you said.
Just the intensity, but also sort of that sweeping scale, that sense of wonder. While it's tarnished, it's still there. Just like in Star Wars, part of the fun was the sense of scale and the stakes being raised accordingly. You follow Luke from Tatooine to Dagobah, to Hoth, to Endor, to the Cloud City, to the trenches of the Death Star. All these locations have their own internal high concept to them, their own unique vibe and everything else. So, the Land of Oz is the same way. And I think that's really cool, knowing that like the bombed out Emerald Cities can be very different than the Deadly Desert or the mountaintops of Ix or the Wicked Witch's Castle. There's so many different locations for Dorothy to have to navigate, and they all have their own unique dangers and challenges and obstacles. So this is I think kind of the biggest swing I've taken yet, especially in terms of scale of this story. And having written the whole thing, the script is done with the whole series. I'm really excited for where this story's heading.
So how long have you been working on this one? Just has it been a part-time thing? We've been working on other projects, or has this just been like a passion? You've been going, I have to work on this all the time because I'm super stoked about it.
Yeah, we've been working on this. I've been working on this for a very long time. This was actually one of 3 ideas that I came up with in the aftermath of Spencer and Locke 1 coming out. I've said this before in other interviews, but in hindsight, you say, why didn't you have more stories planned after Spencer and Locke? And living in it, I can tell you, I didn't know if I was going to get any more stories after Spencer and Locke. When you have a book that's What If Calvin and Hobbes grew up in Sin City, you either succeed or you fail, but you do it loudly. Like there's no quiet way of putting that book out.
People forget The Walking Dead only went 5 issues.
Yeah.
It was just a miniseries, and then it got picked up. Like you never know when you go to print. You never know.
Well, and especially with our high concept, I didn't know if I was going to get run out of the industry. And so, it took a little while, once the last issue came out and people still liked it. And I was like, okay, I guess it's safe. I came up with 3 more ideas. And one of them was Spencer and Locke 2. I had to have that in my back pocket. I had volumes 2 and 3 in my back pocket when I pitched Jorge Santiago Jr. on it. Going to the chapel because I was the world's worst best man at my oldest friend's wedding. So I that was sort of being worked on. And then the OZ. And, so we've been working on this for about 3 years now in some capacity. And, it's because I wanted to do something fantasy related. I'd already done crime. I was doing a rom-com. Sci-fi is hard for me. Like I've gotten better at it, but at the time, there's a lot more rules to it that I tend to get tripped up on. And fantasy, on the other hand, it's all rooted in characterization and metaphor. You can explore a lot about a character and who they are by the abilities that they're able to manifest, or the worlds that they're able to navigate. So, I'd written down a bunch of fantasy inspirations, things like Lord of the Rings, Lloyd Alexander, Piers Anthony, Harry Potter. I wrote down The Wizard of Oz. And when I saw my cursor flashing on the word Oz, I was like, oh, it's so short, but it's so iconic. It could be like an acronym for something, like DMZ. Mm-hmm. And then I realized, oh, it's the occupied zone.
It's like it was meant to be.
Yeah, that's when it really hit me. I was like, oh, this is a war story. And so, it's, we've been working on this for a while. And the way that it kind of happened, it worked out was, traditional publishers, even in the best of times, the acquisitions pipeline can be very chaotic. People, their attentions, they have short attention spans, and things, bombard them, and other books show up. And so we've had publishers who were interested in this book, and we'd sort of go through the same conversation every 3 months, where they'd be like, yeah, we're really interested in this. I'd be like, cool, send me a contract. And then 3 months later, we'd start the conversation all over again. COVID really exacerbated a lot of those things.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of folks that are seeing. I mean, we've seen it in all industries, and COVID is just kind of throwing a monkey wrench into everything. And I'm sure it didn't help here.
Yeah, with comics, people, the acquisitions pipeline is narrowing, and on top of that, they're staggering things. Books that would have been coming out, next year are now coming out in 2022. It's a real kind of staggered process. So between that, I'd already been thinking I wanted to do Kickstarter for a long time. I have a lot of friends who've done it. My friend Charlie Stickney from White Ash, my buddy Rylan Grant, who just finished his Kickstarter for The Jump. There's a whole collection of comics creators here in LA who've all had success with Kickstarter, and I'm friendly with all of them. So they've all been press ganging me for the better part of the year, saying, like, you really should do Kickstarter. You should really try Kickstarter. And the thing that made me realize maybe I should try Kickstarter was somebody told me, there are some people that buy their books primarily at a comic shop, and some people who primarily buy them on Amazon or Comixology. Mm-hmm. Some people primarily buy them at cons, which is I had a lot of success at, but cons aren't going to be a thing for a while.
Right.
And there are some people that primarily buy their books on Kickstarter. And I was like, oh, there's like a whole demographic of readers who are really passionate and really loyal and really devoted to things they like. And I have done no outreach to any of them. So for me, it's always been about, like, how can I make the most accessible books? How can I invite more people to the table and build a wider consensus? And so I realized that I could solve one problem with another. We already had 2 issues of the OZ done. And publishers were telling me, oh, well, we might not put it out until 2022. Well, why do we have to wait for permission anymore? Why don't we just put it out?
I mean, that's the nice thing with these tools we have like that nowadays is you can try and go out on your own and do it, which I've got to imagine is kind of daunting, but at the same time, you're like, oh, holy crap, this is awesome to be able to do it that way.
Too. It builds on the pre-existing skill set that I've been lucky enough to cultivate with my previous books. I felt like I knew how to write a comic. Like, I practice. I thought that I knew how to do the project management side of it all because, again, like when you're an indie person, you're your own editor. I knew how to do the publicity side just from my previous books and working as a comics journalist and working as a print journalist and working in publicity. And at the same time, though, I didn't know anything about printing. I didn't know anything about production work. I didn't know anything about shipping. Now I do. which is really empowering for me as a creator. I think that was kind of the missing piece of the puzzle, where now if I've got an idea and I feel passionate about it, I don't necessarily have to wait for a traditional publisher to sign off on it. If I feel strongly enough about it and I feel like it's ready for prime time, I can go through Kickstarter. And that is something that's really I think empowering as a creator, because I feel like, especially with sort of how chaotic the world is right now and how uncertain things are both for the general economy and the comics business, I think creators need to be diversifying how they do things. And I think they can't just wait for the problem to solve itself. They need to be proactive and really take control of their own creative destiny.
That makes sense. I mean, especially as we've mentioned before on this show that there's a lot of uncertainty in the comic industry right now because of a lot of what's happened at DC with budgetary pullbacks and a lot of people leaving. Sure. And everyone's wondering what's that ripple effect going to be for Marvel, for company XYZ, things like that. So sure. Having the ability to put your work on Kickstarter and be like, hey, you guys know me, I've done these other projects. Here's the next baby I'm bringing to you guys that I think you guys are going to love, and you can go directly to people. And I know, for instance, Anthony, he's a big comic supporter on Kickstarter, more so than me. I dabble in all sorts of different things in Kickstarter because I have an addiction to finding cool things and hoping they pan out. Technology doesn't always pan out on Kickstarter, just as a side note, but it's sure fun. Sure. But Anthony, I know in the past has been like, hey guys, here's this cool project I found on Kickstarter. I'm like, I never would have heard of this if it weren't for the fact that he's someone who deep dives into it and finds cool stuff and brings it to my attention.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up the number because I wanted to see, because it's been a while since I looked. I joined Kickstarter April 2012. I backed 264 projects.
Nice.
Of that 264, 215 are comics.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's the comic man.
I had a year where, honestly, I think in probably the last 5 years, I've gotten more Kickstarter books than I've gotten DC books.
That's great.
So, to me, the big three is Marvel, Image, and Kickstarter.
I mean, I think there's something to be said about that. I feel like Kickstarter it's the great equalizer. It's sort of this hotbed of important indie voices that might not necessarily have had not because of lack of quality, but just because publishers are a little conservative, which makes sense. They're the ones fronting the risk. So, I think Kickstarter has been an important place, an important platform for these voices that might not necessarily have navigated a traditional publishing pipeline. I feel like, the one worry that I have, and I think it'll be hopefully temporary, and not long term, is I do think after this week, seeing, our success, seeing Scott Snyder's success on Nocturnal, his Kickstarter, there's a worry that I have that there's going to be a lot of panicked direct market creators who are going to, think that there's gold in them Nar Hills. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that Kickstarter, you really got to bring your absolute A game. And I hope that's something that the Kickstarter market will self-select moving forward. As more and more direct market people throw in, that people's eyes don't get bigger than their stomachs, and that they're only bringing on the best of their work. I have no interest in Kickstarter being turned into direct market 2.0.
Completely agree with you. And we touched on it a little bit when we were talking before the show that we've sort of seen trends of Kickstarter policing itself. So when it comes to projects that either shoot for the moon and don't deliver, and then the next time people come up that gets remembered, or just projects that come out and people go, I don't know if this is really what I expected. So like you said, if you're not bringing your A game, the Kickstarter community tends to remember, and then it's much harder that second time around, which probably also makes it more daunting when you first do your first Kickstarter, be like, oh my God, what if there's something I'm not thinking of? And the community goes, what the hell? Why would we want to do this?
Right, exactly. It's all about engaging your readership and earning their trust. Mm-hmm. Just like in the direct market, I've been really fortunate with the success that I've had, and it's been all about building, a platform over the course of over a decade. And I feel like with Kickstarter, I'm taking that platform that we have and we're continuing to build on it. What I would love to do is, our direct market readers have really come out in force, I think, and seeing that and introducing them to the Kickstarter contingent, and then kind of having them break bread at the same table. That's, really my goal is to sort of blur that division a little bit more,
Sure.
and just have people who might not be aware of my work discover it, and then hopefully stick around with us when I've got more books down the pipeline, regardless of what the distribution channels might be.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes total sense. And the thing that I've always found is harder on the Kickstarter side, like the one-on-one, the fan engagement, getting interested fans on board is a lot easier.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the retailers. It's harder. Some of them don't see the benefit or see the draw in Kickstarter. Because I got a friend that runs a comic shop, and I've talked to him about a couple projects I've seen on there. He's like, it's a Kickstarter book. I'll wait until it hits one of the bigger publishers and get it then. I said, it may not, though, some of these things.
Sure. It's I think the perception is changing. I think it's changing in a big way. I think even since COVID, I think the perception has changed a lot. I mean, when you have people like Scott Snyder, Saladin Ahmed, Jimmy Palmiotti, Cullen Bunn, they've all had real success on Kickstarter. And there are so many books that have started on Kickstarter that, like you said, have found a second life at a publisher. You look at Black, for example, over at Black Mask. I mean, the reason that got picked up over there was because they made an insane amount of money on their Kickstarter. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I feel like Kickstarter is not the dirty word that it was even a year ago, right. Where I think there was a lot of perception of, it's only on Kickstarter because it was considered unpublishable, and now it's just more like, no, there are books. You look at White Ash, which is just a superlatively good book. Mixes fantasy, mixes intrigue, mixes romance, all with this like very down to earth Western Pennsylvania mining town as its setting. That's a book that any publisher would be lucky to have. And the fact that it had such a following on Kickstarter and now is enjoying a second life over at Scout. So yeah, I feel like the perception is changing a lot. And I think some of that is because we're realizing that the traditional structures of comics might not be as steady as we thought, with the Diamond shutdown. Even though it was temporary, it was sort of the entire industry got the brakes pulled on it with almost no notice.
And tough for the retailers, especially when that happened.
Yeah, and I mean, I got to say, as far as retailer stories, it's a real catch-22, especially if you're a creator. I have friends who were working with publishers where books were still coming out, and some publishers were like, "Thank God, this is a lifeline," and other publishers were like, "What are you doing trying to push more product on me? I'm trying to pay my rent." And so there's no winning in that scenario. And I think between Diamond also sort of not just putting the brakes on the release schedules, but paying people, that's something that I think a lot of creators are suddenly like, oh, maybe those old traditions are not necessarily as viable as they once were. And so people are starting to think, okay, how do I diversify? For example, I'm working on, bolstering my online presence. That was the first thing that I said I needed to do, especially once COVID was hitting. Focusing on my newsletter, focusing on my social media, doing things like Kickstarter. I think that as long as cons are not a thing, and to be honest, at the current rate, I'm not particularly hopeful that we're going to be seeing a lot of shows even next year.
I tend to agree with you on that one.
You're not in a rush to go shake 1,800 hands over a Saturday, Sunday?
Yeah, I feel like at this point, I'm sort of saying like a year from now it might be safe. Which we're getting to the end of the con season, so we might have wiped out 2021 at this rate, and so digital's the future. Like this is the way that we're going to reach out to people, and so I think Kickstarter is a really important tool and platform for that. I think and what we can do with the comic shops. I mean, we're offering a retailer tier. I don't think that. I think like you were saying, Chris. Like I think most retailers are going to do what you're saying, which is, oh, we'll wait and see if it gets picked up by a traditional publisher. But I wanted to make sure that we offered
Right, and that
our
makes total
retailers.
sense. And I think some
And also-
retailers are also just kind of a little gun shy right now as
Sure,
everything's
I
starting
get
to
it.
reopen. They're like, I don't have the capital to start going out past just what I've ordered.
Sure. Well, and on top of that, like, I like Kickstarter inevitably is at a higher price point than something you would get from a traditional publisher. The thing that we've tried to do to sort of maximize that is, we've made the issue double sized. So it's 44 pages of story. We're adding in pinups. We're actually exploring options as far as doing enhanced covers. We're talking with our printer right now about like what might work and what might look good. So yeah, it's a juggling or a balancing act, I should say. But yeah, I mean, it's a different animal, and it's actually, I've said when I started this Kickstarter and I was thinking, can we make $6,000 in 30 days? I said, okay, it's going to be like a whole new ball game. And then we got funded in 2 hours. And then I was like, oh, I'm playing like
Dirk Manning numbers.
Then I'm like, we're playing a different sport.
Yeah.
And it's like playing on a different planet with its own laws of physics. And that's been kind of the real fun for me, is kind of figuring out, it's the fun challenge of it all, is sort of learning on my feet and being like, okay, like this is very different than the direct market. How can we keep building our readership and to make sure it doesn't look like a cash grab? Because that couldn't be further from the truth. I'm certainly not going to be making a lot of money on this book. It's making sure that we can keep adding value, so we can keep bringing in more readers. And so figuring out what can we do to the book, what can we offer in our existing mailing infrastructure, and what can we distribute digitally. And I think we've got a really cool combination of things that we've got waiting in the wings, and more things that we're sort of developing on the fly. So yeah, it's exciting. It's a different way of doing things, but I think it's something that ultimately makes me a better and more savvy creator.
And I will say, in regards to all of your backer rewards and stuff, you seem to have that right mix of whether you like digital stuff, whether you like physical stuff. You had pretty much hit all of those different niches that people like in there. So you don't have someone going, I really like this project, but there's not really an end product that I would want out of it or something like that. So I just want to give you kudos in that regard, because there's been some Kickstarters in the past I've looked at and been like, I don't necessarily have room on the shelf for more stuff. I'd love to support them and just get digital copies of it. And they're like, digital, maybe we haven't figured it out. And I was like, but that's what I need in some cases.
Yeah, which is always crazy to me. I'm the same way. Like I don't have Anthony's level of Kickstarter backing. I've only backed a little over 200.
I've only got like 40, so you guys beat me.
But I consider myself like a Kickstarter lurker, where I'm more like exactly what you're saying, Chris, where like I live in a 2-bedroom apartment in LA. My bookshelf space is extremely limited.
Yeah.
So I'm always like, but if I see something that's interesting, I'm like, well, let me get the digital version of this. Even if, like, I'll admit again, like having just finished my review tenure at Newsarama, I was bombarded with more comics than I knew what to do with. But it was my way of showing my support for a project or a concept or a creator that I was like, they're doing something really interesting here. I mean, I'm a human cliche in the fact that like I'm a Jewish writer who lived in New York at one point and did stand-up comedy, and it's you're used to in that scene. If you do stand-up or you do Upright Citizens Brigade, like you pay to go to my show, I'll pay to go to your show. It's kind of the same mentality, for Kickstarter, where I'm just like, I'll pay it forward. Mm-hmm. Even if I don't necessarily get the chance to read the book, it's just sort of my way of just saying, keep doing what you're doing. Like, I'm proud of you. Having digital rewards, I think, is important. I think there are some people that's how they prefer to read. But having that print side in case people want that copy in their hands, or if they want our variant covers, that's, we wanted to make sure that we spread it out. If anything, my only, I guess, regret is, again, you can only plan so much. Had I known that we would kind of blow up in the way we did, I would have thought about other types of rewards, just to add it to the mix. And that's something that I'll be taking into consideration for our next Kickstarter for that.
Makes total sense.
because it's like, you're constantly having to learn, but at the same time you're also having to make sure that like what you do stays within your current shipping infrastructure, because there are going to be a lot of people like I'm sure that I could add in a whole bunch of crazy, add-ons, but for the people who are only buying one issue and are not getting sent through priority mail, like, is it really worth me adding $3 or eating $3 really of every single purchase to add in like some extra?
Yeah.
Like, so you have to really kind of be careful with
and postage is the killer on Kickstarter.
Yeah. I've seen campaigns that like did really, 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 really well, and they just like completely shot themselves in the foot because they got too ambitious with their extras. So that's the sort of thing that I'm like trying to be careful of, trying to be cognizant of, and making sure that anything we offer is something that we can actually deliver. Spam risk. It's a fun calculus. It's solving the Rubik's Cube in a different way than writing comics, which is also solving the Rubik's Cube, I think, in a lot of ways.
Gives you a better idea how it all works, how the sausage is made.
Now you guys scared me just a little bit. You said cons will be out next year, right? I hear that perfect. I'm a little worried about that because I have a con cousin, and I don't want him to get free next year, man. That's not gonna be no good, nobody, man.
Different type of con, Bill.
He's not all
Different
there.
type of con.
He got a metal plate in his head. He's never been right since.
You showing up to San Quentin Convict Con.
That would be a lot of people.
Yeah, the SQCC is very popular this time of year, I hear.
Well, I think I'll look this up and try and get some tickets for him then. Hopefully I won't see my cousin over there.
Well, it's only a unique way to get admission to that convention, Willie. You probably don't want to get that kind of admission ticket.
You don't want to be invited to that.
Who?
You got to commit a crime to get invited to this con.
No. Who you talking to?
Excuse me, Bill. I apologize.
I know. We
this is not going to get old real fast.
No. I got you, sir. It's all good.
As David was talking about the stretch goals and stuff like that, it's easy to overpromise, especially on the first project. I've seen projects where on their second and third Kickstarter, they're still sending out books from their first Kickstarter because they didn't make enough money to cover the shipping when shipping costs changed on them.
Right.
And then I've also seen, like well-known artist writer creators, like I backed up Paul Jenkins' Humberto Ramos book, Fable Quest, that they did because none of the publishers want to pick it up. Great book. Like, those are not guys that need to go to Kickstarter, but that was a book they wanted to do there. And they went crazy on it. The book was oversized. It was gorgeous. They added all the little things to it, and they got it to you on time. While I've also seen other creators who I won't name get their book published through Kickstarter and be selling copies of it at New York Comic Con before I got my copy, which I fucking paid for the book.
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
exactly.
There's all sorts of little pitfalls and stuff. And Kickstarter has a long memory. People remember there's people I'll back, and I've backed a bunch of their projects. I've backed 8 of Jimmy Palmiotti's Paper Films books because those always show up. They're on time. They are packaged well. The Amanda Connor prints are always fucking signed because, the wife's in the house, so he has her sign everything. Like, those two do great Kickstarter projects because they learned, like, these are the steps we have to follow, and if we do this, it works.
Right. It's exactly like, for me, the thing I'm most excited about, like, we wouldn't have pitched this if it wasn't done. Really the only delay we have at this point, not delay, but, just because the book has been so well received, it's, we're just getting our pinup artists now, just getting that over the plate. And then, I'm doing a little bit of designing just as far as our back cover is concerned and just figuring out our inside, front, and back cover, with pull quotes and the like. It's like we're going to have this thing sent to the printer in the next couple of weeks. And so, our printer works fast. There's comic impressions based in Florida. So, like, if COVID shuts down, like, they're not going to shut down. They're considered an essential business. And so, and I've been like gaming how we're going to ship this stuff for a long time. So,
Nice.
you know, I've got my my label printer, I've got my stamps account, I've got my stamps my stamp scale.
There you go.
You know, we've got a ton of Gemini mailers sitting in my apartment. Although I've had to order more.
It's
You
not
know,
a bad problem to have here, though.
not
Yeah.
a bad problem to have is that when I ordered 300 Gemini mailers and realized that I am about half of what I need. You
With
know,
almost a
And
month
it's good
left.
too knowing that you went with the U.S. printer, because especially now in the time of COVID, I don't want to know how long a book would take to print and ship from China right
Yeah,
now. Like,
yeah, it's
dear
not.
God,
Yeah,
those
I'm
delays were
trying-
bad anyways.
exactly. So it's trying to sort of, you know, figure out the best way to do things, and you know, make sure that our readers are, you know, getting what they paid for and getting it in a timely fashion. Right now, our fulfillment goal is December. So, you know, get it in time for the holidays. I think, you know, given what we've done so far, I think that's perfectly feasible. You know, to be honest, we're still not going to be able to have a concrete number of how much we need from the printer until we get a better sense of what our numbers are going to look like. I mean, that's the craziest part of all this, is that we're 6 days in and we're at 700 plus backers. We're probably closer to 750 at this point. There's 23 days left.
And you won't have an actual number until 2 weeks after your Kickstarter is over.
Yeah, so you know, it's sort of, you know, we're going to do sort of I think a ballpark estimate, you know, once everything's kind of said and done. But at the same time, yeah, it's like, you know, how many variants are we going to print? You know, we've got a significant number of people who are asking for variants, and you know, obviously at this point, I have no idea which one. You know, so it's just figuring out like how we're gonna do this and what's the smartest way of doing it. And, you know, thankfully, I've been really fortunate that I've got friends like Charlie and Ryland and Russell Nahelty and Pat Shand, and a whole murderer's row of Kickstarter alums, all of whom have been very generous with their time and their advice. And then just kind of figuring out on my own, all right, how do I do this? You know, my girlfriend and I we're ready to spend, you know, a week just packaging things. You know, my aunt actually lives downtown. She's been very generous that she says, if your books if you have too many books, you can use my garage.
Oh, nice.
When the pallets arrive.
Yeah,
'cause
if
when the pallets arrive, people forget how much space books can take up when you have to order a couple thousand issues.
Yeah. You know, I've never ordered in that magnitude before. And so yeah, figuring out like, okay, how's that going to fit? Will this fit in my 2-bedroom apartment? You know, but yeah, you know, it's a challenge that I'm excited to hunker down and do. This is the sort of work that like I consider myself pretty good at. And you know, I think trying to remind our readers, you know, that we appreciate them. I think that's really like the important thing for me. You know, I'm going to be spending a bunch of time this week catching up on just our thank you messages. You know, we've had so many of them that I haven't had a chance to really go through and thank everyone individually. But that's something I want to do now.
And I think that's an awesome thing to do too, because people will remember that. So then when you have the next project come up, like, oh yeah, I remember I funded that one. They said thanks. We had some back and forth on Twitter about things, stuff like that. People remember those kind of things, and then they kind of hook on and be like, yeah, I'm invested in this because they spent 30 seconds to make me feel more involved in things, and people will remember.
Right. It's you know, it's so interactive and so personal, even compared to the direct market, where I think I've got a pretty decent Twitter game in terms of responding to people, and you know, because I feel like if anybody's gonna, you know, spend their hard-earned money and roll the dice on me, the least I can do is thank them. Mm-hmm. But Kickstarter it's so much more granular. I mean, you're really able to there's so much data and so much information, and you can really kind of target your audience and really pinpoint accuracy. And that's something that I've never, you know, even Twitter, you're kind of, you know, throwing it and hoping that it sticks. So yeah, it's something that I'm really interested in learning, and yeah, I think you know, it's a very exciting process.
It sure is. I don't have the wherewithal to be able to do it, but it fascinates me when I see people do projects that are successful. I mean, one of the most fascinating things I had seen was I You guys probably aren't familiar with it. There's a guy named Justin Robert Young who hosts a bunch of different podcasts and also made a card game for a political version of Cards Against Humanity almost. And he and his buddy did a Kickstarter on it. And then he started doing an online lecture series on how I had a $250,000 Kickstarter and lost $30,000. And it was like, he's like, here's my lessons of what I screwed up. I didn't factor in shipping. I didn't factor in what it would cost to make these things in China. And he goes, Kickstarter's awesome. He goes, but if you're not smart, it nearly kills us.
Yeah.
And it sounds like
I mean,
you've been doing that homework and talking to folks that have been in having that experience before. And
yes,
that's good.
I distinctly recall seeing a Kickstarter that that basically self-destructed over that sort of thing, where like they were wildly popular and their eyes were way bigger than their stomachs as far as what their rewards would be. They had all
the
sorts
one where
of
the guy
merch.
burned the books after he got them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa, we should have learned our lessons from burning books a while back.
We should have, but yet Kickstarter is an angel investor company. That's what people forget sometimes. Technically, once you give your money, that's it. There is no legal recourse. You cannot do anything. And some people, the stress of running a Kickstarter can be intense, and some people have literally had mental breakdowns because of it.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a different planet with its own laws of physics, and so if you jump too hard in the wrong direction, you might find yourself in orbit. And so I feel like we've tried to be as careful and conservative with our stretch rewards as possible. It's one of the reasons why we've got a digital comics extravaganza, which we've unlocked. So every backer of the OZ not only is getting the 44-page first issue, not only are they getting PDFs of Spencer and Locke #1 and Going to the Chapel #1, but they're also getting like PDFs from like a dozen indie creators, including Justin Jordan, Kevin Eastman, co-creator of the Ninja Turtles.
Oh,
There's the name.
Nice.
Oh, I heard
I was
something.
waiting to see when that
called my
little
name.
indie guy's name was going to get popped in here.
Yeah, Frank Gogol, Rylan Grant. They've all been generous enough to throw in material. So we've actually, our digital comics extravaganza has been so popular. We've had so many creators who have been so gracious to offer their work that we're actually going to start staggering it. So that way, for our next Kickstarter, that'll be a stretch goal. Nice. And so that way, like, you're getting the most bang for your buck. Even if you throw in $5 or $10, you throw in $10, you get everything. You get hundreds of pages of story for $10. I mean, it's a deal that you can't match anywhere. Right. And we've got some really cool creators. If you haven't read The Strange Talent of Luther Strode, for example, or Spread.
You're saying Justice name. I'm like, I know that name. I know it. Freaking Luther Strode. That is such cool books.
Yeah, I consider Justin a real role model as far as the way he does business. So it was a real no-brainer for me to reach out to him and ask. And we've got more creators who are reaching out all the time. So that's why we've only started with those core group of names, is because we're still figuring out how we're going to schedule all this and how we're going to stagger it, and which books would pair together better in the second Kickstarter or the third. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's figuring that out. What I can say now is tomorrow we're going to launch our social stretch goals. In addition to our financial stretch goals. So I'll have a tweet up tomorrow, and once we have a certain number of likes and retweets, we will actually unlock a theme song that we have specifically recorded for the OZ.
Awesome.
And
so you're going the cyanide and happiness route.
Yeah, and when we hit that number, all backers will get the digital file of that song in addition to whatever else they buy.
Cool.
Music. Yeah, it's really cool. I've heard the rough demo. They should be recording it this weekend. The professional copy. But even the rough demo was just so beautiful and haunting, and I think really captured the spirit of this book. Those are the kinds of cool solutions that you can come up with. In with Kickstarter that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do with a traditional publisher. The rules are different. The laws of physics are different, and so it's been a fun challenge for me to figure out, okay, how do we make people feel valued in a way that doesn't delay the book and doesn't screw up the budget that we have in place.
Makes sense. I think you guys have a real good setup in that regard so far, just because looking at the buzz on Twitter and people talking about it, I haven't seen anyone that's complaining. There's almost always someone that's going to complain about stuff.
Give it time. I'm sure we'll find something.
Well, since you started
Such
asking
as
me
one
now,
Bill Nelson.
yeah, you're gonna ask my opinion. Listen, my brother has been gone for a while. I don't. This is too much time waiting here. I'll see you. He should be back here later. I'll see you guys later.
Well, we might have Willie Nelson back here in a little bit. Once
If
Bill Nelson
Willie Nelson returns with something stuck to his chin, I'm gonna piss my pants. I'm gonna lose it.
Oh,
Yeah, there'll be somebody from PETA angry about what you do to the flying monkeys at some point because it's the internet. So I mean, someone has to complain. Those are the rules.
Someone will complain. I mean, I had a conversation yesterday with somebody who has done a lot of work in the Oz fandom, and they told me, they're like, Oz fans can sometimes be purists, and if you've ever met me, I don't really have a purist bone in my body. But at the same time, I would say, I hope that when people, if they give us a shot, that like they know that we're like, we respect the mythology, we respect the lore, we respect the fandom. We're doing something that feels like, in my mind, an organic continuation of the original L. Frank Baum novel. I would say also for people who don't know my work, with Spencer and Locke, this isn't something that we're doing for like shock value's sake. That's not really how I operate. I feel like shock is like the least effective way of building a readership. Like that gets you your foot in the door once. That does, people, people will share
number one issue.
Yeah. But, if you don't have if you don't justify it, then there's no reason for people to stick around. If there's no narrative justification, if there's no emotional connection, who's going to stick around? And I feel like there are, people will look at a car accident, like they're not going back for seconds. And so the thing that I've always tried to strive for is to really make sure that we're justifying it. We're justifying our high concepts, that we're treating our characters with compassion and empathy and respect, because ultimately that means we're treating our readers with that as well. I'm not into this to punch down, so we work hard to make sure that's not the case. I've had entire pages redrawn because I realized, the message that I had put on the page, like the imagery would have interfered with it. And so it's like, all right, we got to rework it. I'm sure that if I stay in the industry as long as I want to, I won't have a perfect batting average on that, but I'm always going to be trying and I'm always going to be listening. Because at the end of the day, there are people who, maybe there are people who have not gone through the land of Oz, but there are people who have served in combat. And there are people who've come back with their own trauma and guilt and disillusionment. And my goal is to make sure that we don't belittle that and that we never treat it as a punchline.
I think that's the right approach to take.
Indeed. I was going to ask too, because you mentioned hitting on certain parts of Oz with Dorothy, Wicked Witch, Flying Monkeys. Is the OZ taking just from the first book, The Wizard of Oz, or is it also taking from some of the other L. Frank Baum? Because I was trying to remember, there's 14 of them, right?
20. It's 20.
20.
Wow.
There's 20 of them. Yeah,
20 of them. So what we've done, because like you said, Anthony, it's a real you got to thread that needle, because the interesting thing is what's considered in the public domain. The Baum novels are in the public domain. The Judy Garland film is not. And so so you have to really take into consideration, look, most of the popular consciousness is the Judy Garland film, which overlaps more or less with the original novel. They certainly took a couple liberties with it to sanitize it, or in the case of the Ruby Slippers, that was an invention for the film, to highlight
colorized film. Yeah,
exactly. In the novel they're silver. So for me, it was threading that needle where you're kind of okay, most people know that core quartet of the Wizard of Oz, Dorothy, the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, the Cowardly Lion. So really focusing on those core characters and what happened to them. but at the same time using that expanded Oz lore to really flesh out the world. There are a lot of locations that were not in the original Oz novel that, like, as Baum started to expand and started making maps of Oz, you start having like the Deadly Desert thrown in there, or the Kingdom of Ix with the mountaintops around its border. So we definitely use that to flesh out this world a bit more. We also have, we do have a couple of ancillary characters from the expanded mythology. Jack Pumpkinhead, I love that design. So he definitely plays a role. He only shows up briefly in our first issue, but he gets a bigger and bigger role in our second and third issues. Nice. But yeah, for me, it was sort of, how do we keep it as universal and accessible as possible? That I want to make sure nobody has to have read a bunch of books to understand our book. And yet at the same time, like, what little Easter eggs can we throw in there to sort of make sure that, like, people know that, like, I wrote a term paper on the land of Oz in college, and I read a bunch of these books. So it's like how can we sort of show the diehard Oz fandom that, like, we're respecting that mythology while still keeping it open to anybody who would even just want to casually read this book.
Right, and it's always the problem you're gonna have is playing in someone else's sandbox.
Sure,
it's tough. Be it if you're someone who's like Jon Favreau doing a Mandalorian TV show and George Lucas's Star Wars sandbox, or you're just writing a book for another publisher or taking inspiration from something. That's always tough because everyone has in their mind what is the most purest version of that, and it may not jive with that just because it's different. Different's not necessarily bad. It's just hard to reconcile at times.
And any changes are going to be looked at with a microscope.
Yeah.
So why did you do this to it? Why did you do that to it?
Yeah, just ask J.J. Abrams and Ryan Johnson right now. With the
yeah,
Star Wars sequel trilogies.
It's tough because it's like, I feel like, I'm prepared a little bit for exactly what you're saying, of people saying, oh, why'd you take these liberties? And the thing is like, we're using the original Oz novel as our jumping off point. Obviously, I'm sure somebody could say, oh, well, like, we didn't have like an Iraq war soldier show up in the next 19 novels. And it's like, yeah, genius. I know that. I didn't invent a time machine. But I think, based on our core concept, I think we've justified it all in ways that I think are still very true to the characters. Because so much of this book is not just Dorothy grappling with her experiences in war and grappling with the burden of responsibility that by virtue of who her grandmother is, of how to make what's considered moral decisions in war. I mean, how do you make a just choice when every decision you make can wind up with someone dead? But, I think, that new Dorothy, in many ways, she's still a character who's basically, brand new from whole cloth. She's sort of the spiritual successor to the original Dorothy. But, seeing how the actual original characters have fared over the course of this generation of war, that's been really interesting to me. That's been really fun. You're able to sort of you're either able to sort of remix them and take like a hard left swerve, or you're able to just take their core qualities from the original books and follow them to the logical conclusion. I mean, you look at the Tin Man, for example, the Tin Soldier. He, he's been destroyed and rebuilt so many times with just whatever pieces of metal are all around him. So he's turned into this like towering war machine freedom fighter. On the other hand, you've got, he's the guy who wanted a heart. And so what happens to that guy when he spent years watching people die? Do you bury that heart, or does it always inevitably come back? Or the Scarecrow, he's the guy, he wanted to be the smart guy. Well, that can be a real monkey's paw. Sometimes being the smartest guy in the room doesn't mean you have all the answers. Sometimes that just means you're the first one to realize how just irrevocably screwed you all are.
You're not wrong.
And at the same time, there's, I think there's, especially for self-described smart guys. I mean, look at Elon Musk. There's that ego to it, and so if you've been faced with this unsolvable problem of horrible war, you know, what's to stop you from keep going back to that Rubik's Cube and making it worse? You know, it's sort of, how does that twist you? How does that embitter you? The Scarecrow is kind of one of my favorite characters in the whole book. I think he's very complicated and complex, and I think readers' relationship with him will evolve a lot from our first issue to our last.
Oh, that's really cool.
You know, or the Lion. I mean, you know, this is somebody who wanted bravery, but how's that calculus change when you're not just fighting for yourself, but you're actually the ruler of the animal kingdom? You know, you know, his story is a lot about legacy, you know, of sort of, you have these ideals in your past that, you know, seem so rose colored and now so impossible to possibly achieve in this sort of war scarred present. Can you go back? Can you turn back the clock? Can you live up to those ideals that were set so long ago? Or is that just something of the past that just is not going to exist anymore? So yeah, it's like getting to see how war has not just touched Dorothy, but touched every kind of member of her makeshift army. That's really interesting to me. And I think we've got a bunch of twists and turns with these characters. So we're going to keep you on your toes. No book I've ever approached is straightforward. So
that's half the fun.
That's half the fun. Exactly. You know, what's a roller coaster ride without a couple of good turns?
Exactly. So
we got some cool stuff going.
Well, I mean, I was already sold, but if I wasn't sold, you sold me again.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're guaranteed to have me as a backer a little bit later on when I can, and definitely. My brother was here earlier. He said he's going to do it too. He says he needs $20 out of him or something. He's got you, buddy.
Well, I'm glad that both Bill and Willie Nelson are going to be supporting. And if you guys want to support, you can go find it on Kickstarter. We'll put a link in the show notes. You can follow David on Twitter. And what's the Twitter for the comic
book?
itself? It's the OZ comic. Is that what it is?
That's it.
Okay.
You can follow it on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at that address. Or if you go to bit.ly/the OZ comic, that'll take you right to our Kickstarter page.
I knew there was a short link. I couldn't remember what it was. Thank you.
Sure.
It's awesome, guys. Seriously. Anthony and I both have been geeking out over it. So anyone who's watching live, listening later, follow the link in the show notes. Check it out for yourselves. We would strongly encourage you to support because it's really cool.
Thank you.
That way you can watch the stretch goals be reached. Yeah, 23 more days.
Yes, we're the running right now for a really cool print that we're a comic sized print that we'll be giving to all of our physical backers.
Nice.
Yeah, that'll be if we hit 500% funding.
Okay.
So we're getting real close to that. I think we'll hit that. You know, knock on wood, maybe sometime this week. And then it'll be on to the next stretch goal. And we've got some really cool things in store.
Well, there's a lot of buzz. I mean, I've been seeing articles posted everywhere. I mean, I've been seeing you've been making the rounds too because you've been retweeting a lot of your appearances and stuff. So the buzz is building, and it's not just us that are here geeking out over it. There's a bunch of people, as you've already seen, that have backed it and supported it. Plus, there's probably a bunch of folks who are just watching on social media that are finally like, wait, everyone's talking about this. I need to check it out.
Yeah, you know, our Yellow Brick Road warriors are coming in strong for us. 737 and counting. And yeah, that's always been the goal. I want to build that wider consensus. And so, you know, we got 23 days left to build it. And yeah, I want to invite everybody to the table, no matter what your budget, whatever your level of commitment. It's all great. And we're going to have tons of fun stuff to share with you, no matter what your level of involvement.
That's perfect then. Everyone gets to play.
Yeah.
I my brother told me something about like our cousin's coming home next year. He's not supposed to be back for like 4 more years, man. What happened?
Well, they're letting out SQCC, you know, and you know, so yeah, get your tickets now.
Yeah, exactly. So, David, thank you so much for joining us today to talk about this. And
thank you so much for having me.
Hopefully, we're able to push some more people your way, get some more buzz and excitement coming. I know you're super busy. You're welcome to hang around with us. We're going to talk about some other stuff going on.
No, thank you so much. I got to get some coffee in me.
Oh, sure.
I'm dragging hard, but But we should definitely talk soon because I'm going to have some more projects that are going to be announced soon, and yeah, just some fun stuff's in store. So thank you for having me.
Anytime.
And anybody listening, thank you for your support of the OZ. It means the world. Because yeah, I feel like this is a project that even if you don't like the writing, it's undeniably beautiful. I think it goes toe to toe with any book in the direct market, and as far as the art is concerned. And if you like what you've seen in our preview, just know you ain't seen nothing yet.
Ooh.
And it's Rojas, right? Ruben Rojas.
Yep, Ruben Rojas, Whitney Kogar, and DC Hopkins. They are just they're the A team. They are just truly tremendous collaborators to work with. Every page comes in looking like magic. So I'm very excited to show you guys what we have in store for that book.
Yeah, that cover is killer.
And don't forget who is ethically first on the Kickstarter.
Oh, Jesus.
We're back on this one again.
Actually, that was Bill. Actually, Bill beat me to it. He was ethically first.
I would have tried to be first, but honestly,
God, I
I
hate
slept
that
it the other
guy.
day. When I woke up, your project was already funded, so I was in no rush.
Yes,
Hey,
yes.
hey, timing doesn't matter, man. Ethically first.
Ethically first. I love it. I love it. Thank you guys so much for having me, and we'll talk again very soon.
I'm
Yeah,
looking
thanks for coming
forward
back,
to
David.
Have a good one, guys.
it. Bye. Thanks. Well, guys, that was awesome. I love it when David's on the
Okay.
show because we always get to find out some really cool stuff. And
Heck yeah, good comic books.
in a good way, I mean this. David's one of the easiest interviews because we just ask a few questions and then he's got stories and info and everything. So we just kind of have to be like, hey, tell us about this. And then kind of lean back and be like, this is awesome.
Well, that's the upside with getting a writer on. And I guess not spoilers. I don't know how to phrase it. We're going to have a writer on next weekend, too.
Ooh,
And it's not
tease.
David.
Yes, you guys will have to come back and check that out. So
Tease. That's what it is. It's a tease.
It's a tease. We are an hour into the show right now, so we are going to try and do a quick news of the week segment, and then we'll wrap things up with the traditional segment. But we wanted to give David the most attention here because the Kickstarter's awesome. David's been real good to us, and we wanted to make sure.
Because he deserves it.
Well, yeah,
Jesus,
exactly.
that's the number one reason he deserves it.
You're not wrong. And we've been big supporters of his
When
stuff
am I?
since, God, when did he come on the first time? It was like Spencer and Locke 1, wasn't it? And then
Yeah,
we had him
Spencer
for
Luck
it
one.
was.
Yeah, we had
the
him on for
sequel
the
and then
first-
going to the
the first
chapel, I
book.
think.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think this is his fourth time on.
And he's not tired of us yet.
I know. He's
Who'd have
glutton
thunk
for
it?
punishment, I guess. We're lucky.
I mean, he's the second best guest we've ever had after Reverend Willie. Gotta tell you.
I thought he was going to say Bill Nelson.
Oh no, that dude's an asshole.
You're not wrong there.
So are you.
Live from the ATGN studios on the internet, it's the news of the week.
That's right, it's the news of the week. It's that part of the show where we run down what's in our minds some of the most interesting geeky and or nerdy news, excuse me, I slurred that all up, to have happened here in the past week and share it with you guys who are watching live and listening at a later date. So we'll kick things off. I originally in the show notes had just put one thing in there. I'm just going to say broaden in general and make it pretty quick. I'm pleasantly surprised by most of the positive buzz that came out of the DC Fandome event yesterday. Got to see some cool stuff on the Suicide Squad, where they revealed the entire cast and who they're playing. Black Superman.
yeah.
Nobody predicted who Black Superman was playing. Let's put it that way. Idris Elba.
Yeah, that threw me for a fucking loop. Because if I remember correctly from my DC days, that was the most racist KKK supervillain of all time. And now he's being played by a black man. I can't wait to see how the fuck they rewrite that character.
James Gunn's Suicide Squad stuff, which should surprise no one, looked awesome. They showed two different trailers. One that was like a casting announcement that showed who everyone was playing, and then like a 2.5 minute kind of behind the
Except
scenes.
for Peacemaker.
animated trailer.
I couldn't see who was playing Peacemaker.
Yeah, that's right. You can't see me. John Cena.
You guys said Idris Elba's playing Black Superman. He really is Black
no.
No,
Superman?
he is Black Superman. He's playing a character
is
called
Black
Blood.
Superman.
Yeah, but he's
Oh.
playing a character called Bloodsport.
Yeah.
Who, if I remember correctly, was a racist KKK assassin in the Superman comics, who could pull guns out of anywhere, and he murdered ethnic people. That
All
was
right.
what he did.
I want a time machine, I want invisibility. And I want to go into that meeting room when they said, hey, so we found a character that might not be so good looking. But hold on.
Idris Elba.
KKK, Idris Elba.
Look, I think Warner and DC did the right thing here, which is James Gunn wants to do this movie that's a ragtag band of misfits. Oh, wait, he's already done something similar for Marvel with a ragtag band of misfits. Give him the keys and let him run with it, because this is what he's good at. And if you go and look at like the cast reveal for Suicide Squad, it's huge. There's so many friggin' people in this one. Even Nathan Fillion gets to be a superhero, not a voice actor superhero, finally. He's probably pretty stoked.
What? He's been a superhero before. He's Captain Hammer. What are you talking about?
Yes, the hammer is his penis.
These aren't the hammer.
The hammer.
God damn it, Chris.
Yes.
Y'all don't know timing of comedy at all.
So we got the Suicide Squad reveal. That was really cool. There was a Snyder Cut trailer, whatever. I'm going to just leave. If you can't say something nice, don't say it at all. Zack Snyder was saying some shitty things on the internet again. Whatever.
Yeah, it was. Shocking.
Don't let him watch Batman Mask of the Phantasm, because they'll probably melt his brain. That's all I'll say in regards to that one.
That movie's overrated.
Well, I would argue it's possibly one of the best Batman movies ever made. But
that's an opinion.
Although I prefer Batman Beyond Return of the Joker uncut version over that myself.
I will agree with you there.
That is the best Batman movie ever made.
Yeah.
We agree with the disagreement first.
At least there's that
At least
part.
there is that. So I'm trying to think some of the other stuff I saw that came out. For the most part, it was a lot of positive buzz, but then there was the trailer that dropped last night for The Batman. And we were talking about this a little bit in the pre-show with David. He hadn't seen it yet. But what is it? They've only filmed like 25% of the movie so far. They haven't gotten a chance to film.
I think Matt Reeves said the 25% is filmed, so the teaser they had to make it out of the 25% that's been filmed.
And this is the Robert Pattinson Batman. And, you know, I think we might have said it on this show that he was going to prove people wrong who were kind of poo-pooing it. Pattinson looked pretty badass as Batman. His bat voice was pretty cool, and his physicality was pretty awesome in this trailer.
16% of what they have filmed is that when he was just beating that one guy straight in the face,
just him punching
like
that
10
one dude.
minutes, right? They edited a bunch of different ones. He's like, bam, bam, bam. That dude's dead, right?
It was a 60-second trailer, but it was 4 minutes of him punching that one guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking weird, dude.
Who are you? I'm vengeance. Bam, bam. I mean, it looks really interesting, and it looks like, and Matt Reeves made a point of saying this at DC Fandome. I didn't watch it live. I caught some of this after the fact. The Batman's going to get to be a detective in this. It's going to be him matching wits with people. Yes, there's going to be physicality and violence and stuff like that, but this is more centered around Batman showing how friggin' smart he is for once, because we've not gotten that in a live-action Batman movie yet.
No,
we've
never gotten the world's greatest detective.
Now we're getting the world's greatest detective. Yes, Willie.
Oh, no. He says the line, I am vengeance.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Disney, get with me. We're going to sue, because there's only one crime fighter who is vengeance, who is the Knight. That's fucking Darkwing Duck. I don't want to hear no more. That's not my Spider-Man. That's not my Batman until they fix this atrocity.
Batman, the animated series, had that line ages ago, too.
And he went suck my whatever you want to fill that expletive with.
He went Kevin Conroy. He didn't go Darkwing Duck.
Yeah.
And as we all know, Kevin Conroy is Batman.
That's the voice I hear in my head for Batman.
I'm sorry, there was no Launchpad McQuack in fucking Batman. Now, was there?
I'm glad there wasn't.
So let's touch on a couple other things that came out of Fandome, just because we need to knock the big things out. Gotham Knights, which is WB Montreal's 1 to 4 player co-op. Excuse me, 1 to 2 player co-op game. I think they said.
Yeah, I think it's 1 to 2 player co-op.
Where you get
the 4 player is Suicide Squad.
Yeah, 4 player Suicide Squad. But 1 to 2 player co-op where you basically play as Nightwing, Red Hood, which is Jason Todd, Robin, which I think is Tim Drake.
It's the Tim Drake,
okay, and then Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, excuse me, in a world where Batman is dead and the Court of Owls is
the most important one, Dick Grayson Nightwing.
Sure.
He only mentioned 3 characters.
Oh, did I forget? I said it in my head, but I didn't say it out loud.
Yeah,
Batman's dead for real.
Well, let's be honest.
Whatever.
No one expects that
time
to stick.
traveling.
And no time travel. This involves the Court of Owls. The Court of Owls will got a hold of it. The fact that they're adapting the Court of Owls and the Talons and putting them in a video game, super interesting. Scott Snyder was tweeting about it a little bit yesterday, saying I can finally talk about it. They actually took him out to the studio for a week and started peppering their ideas against him to be like, does this make sense in the context of the Court of Owls? And I was like, oh, that's really cool. So they went directly to the guy that created the Court of Owls to put the Court of Owls in this video game.
Yeah, which, I mean, it was the good and the bad. I love the idea of playing as those 4 characters. Jason Todd with guns, not so much, but I've never been a fan of Red Hood. That's just me. I mean, there's a reason people voted for him to be beat to death with a crowbar. He's not a good Robin. But being able to play as Nightwing, being able to play as a teleporting Tim Drake Robin, be able to play as Barbara Gordon with the badass cape, like the fact that it's 4 characters, 4 different total play styles, the fact that it's just more of like the Arkham games, just bigger and looking more gorgeous and awesome, effects. Like the game looks brilliant.
Yeah. So one thing to remember though, it's not Rocksteady doing this game. It's WB Montreal who did the Arkham Origins game. That was buggy as hell. It was still a good game, but
it looked pretty as hell. I mean, for what we saw as alpha test footage, this looked pretty as hell. But man, I had to look it up. It's been 14 years since they even tried a Superman game. We've never gotten a Wonder Woman game, and now we're getting another Batman game. And now, like the TV shows, hey, it's a Batman game without Batman. Like the only thing WB can get right is the Batverse. Like,
I don't know how you make a Superman game though and have it be good though, to be honest.
I know, but somebody somewhere out there, some studio needs to crack the code, because there's parts where you play in the Arkham Asylum games where you have that moment where you feel like Batman, and it's fantastic. And despite all of its downfalls, there's parts when you're playing in Anthem where you feel like fucking Iron Man. And in those moments, it makes it a great game. Somebody needs to crack the code on a Wonder Woman game and a Superman game. Because DC has the big 3. They've always had the big 3. It's Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. And they've never had a good Superman game.
Well, I think the problem we run into right now is people aren't really wanting to take as much of a chance on some of these properties. Batman or things set in a Batman world are kind of seen as a insta-buy to a lot of folks. And I'll be honest, what I saw of Gotham Knights, yes, it was pre-alpha build, and yes, early alpha build rather. Yes, there were obvious places where the frame rate chugged and it slowed down. It looks pretty good. 2021, they said, they did not say explicitly which generation of Xboxes and PlayStations it was coming to. So my guess is it's probably PS5 and Series X.
Yeah.
It is not going to be the current gen consoles, but who knows? Now, we mentioned the Arkham games, which kind of leads us to the next game reveal they had, which was kind of the last reveal that came out of Fandome, which is Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League, done by Rocksteady, where it is a 1 to 4 player co-op game where it's King Shark, Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, and Deadshot. And you can swap between them if you're playing single player. And made by Rocksteady, who did the Arkham games, where you have to take out the Justice League, specifically Superman's what's shown. None of this was gameplay footage they showed. It was just a cinematic trailer. But they did announce, after they showed the trailer when they were doing the Q&A, that Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League is set in the Arkham universe. So what we saw in the Batman Arkham Asylum games, in Arkham City, Arkham Knight, that already took place, presumably, in Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League, which kind of takes us back to that rumor that you're not going to get to fight Batman. Well, if you remember, Batman, he didn't exist after Arkham Knight, basically. Bruce Wayne was hanging up the cowl. So it kind of, them saying you fight, not Jason Todd, but Tim Drake, kind of makes a bit more sense there, because one of those guys would probably assume his spot in the Justice League. I don't know. It looked interesting. Tara Strong does the voice of Harley Quinn again, which I'm always on board when she gets to do the voice actor work. It's 2021 for that game. We don't know enough about what's coming, or it might have been 2022. I can't remember. It's a ways off. Right. Let's put it that way.
I call Street Shark. I want to play Street Sharks.
Yeah. It's Rocksteady.
You don't know it. He don't know the joy of Street Sharks. What's wrong with you, man?
It's true. But it is coming a ways off. Like I said, it was just a cinematic trailer. You can go check it out yourself on YouTube, things like that. I almost forgot one of the reveals, but Draftsman reminded me because he saw in the chat room I want a Shazam game, a big Barda game, fighting your way out of Apocalypse. He mentioned Shazam. They did mention his tongue twister. Shazam
I
sequel.
said it first.
But they did also have Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson show up, and they did an animated storyboard-esque introduction to the Black Adam movie. And dude, I'm on board. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is totally on board with it. You can tell he was excited by everything he was doing there, and I want it.
If I wasn't already, Truth, Justice, and the Black Adam Way. And then, the one, I think it was Boss Logic did a poster, and like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson retweeted it because it's just awesome looking. It was just eyes, and it's like a real up close with like magic lightning going through the irises, and it just says, "I said it first," because Black Adam's the first one to say Shazam and get the powers.
Mm-hmm.
The very first?
Yeah, supposedly he's the very first character that the wizard Shazam gave his powers to. And that's why he was afraid to do it again, because Black Adam became what he became, which was basically an unstoppable villain.
Yeah, the Black Adam trailer says it was 5,000 years ago that he got his powers and then was locked up.
So you're saying Shazam is the second, or Billy Batson?
Yeah, Billy Batson is basically the second Shazam in most of the versions of the Captain Marvel storyline.
Basically, or is the keywords here? Keywords.
Yeah, well, the problem is that DC has had 9 different multiverses, and they collapse them and then bring them back and then rewrite them and then relaunch them. And
you're right.
Yeah, I can't tell you. I think in the current storyline of Shazam, and what we're going to see in the DC movies, is Billy Batson will be the second person to have the powers of Shazam, while Black Adam was the first, who, has been locked away for 5,000 years and is getting released, along with our introduction to they're putting the JSA in it. It was just animatic, so we didn't see any other. The actor for Atom Smasher has been announced, who came on and talked with Dwayne Johnson, which was awesome. We're getting Atom Smasher, Hawkman, Dr. Fate, and was there one more? I thought there was 4. I thought there was 4 JSA members that they mentioned.
I can't remember. There was so much stuff, because last night I was trying to watch AEW Dynamite, follow what was going on in Fandome, and then play some video games that I couldn't keep track of everything, I'll be honest.
Well, and then also we got Wonder Woman, which the big reveal there was we did finally get to see in the new Wonder Woman trailer full Cheetah.
Yes, and if you want to get a better glimpse, because they didn't show her for long, Iron Studios, who's the statue company I've talked about all the time, loving, they were able to put up for pre-order their 1/10 scale Cheetah statue, so you can get a 360-degree view. Here's what Cheetah looks like, and here's how it was done. And let's be honest, Iron Studios does beautiful work. I have too much of their stuff in my collection, so I am not unbiased in saying that.
Would you say the full Cheetah looks wonderful?
Sure, we'll go with that.
I would say so far in the teaser, yes, it does.
The teaser looked cool. Let's be honest, though.
Good.
This is something that the only reason we got a trailer for it is because we didn't get Wonder Woman because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, because the movie should have been out already. And I want to address something I saw mentioned on Twitter, and I'm glad there's a lot of excitement over DC Fandome, and everyone's like, DC eat Marvel's lunch, blah, 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 blah. Remember, Marvel hasn't put out shit since Spider-Man Far From Home, because everything was predicated on we got to do Black Widow, and after Black Widow, we can reveal a lot of stuff. So they have kept their mouths shut on purpose. So it's awesome. DC found a way to connect with fans. People are really excited. That's great. But don't start pretending like Marvel hasn't been doing all of the right things for many years also. The fact that they're silent right now is because of the coronavirus. Now,
so this is like
Marvel didn't just fire half of their staff.
Well, that's in the comic side of the house, though. So.
but so you're saying this is like the first majority part of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. until they could match with the Winter Soldier.
Kind of. I mean, if we had to make a parallel to that, yes. The problem is Marvel kind of put themselves in a position where they wanted to let Black Widow movie do its thing, and then coming out of Black Widow, then start talking about everything that was coming. And there are a lot of conspiracy theories that somehow the Black Widow movie is going to find a way that they can make it so that Scarlett Johansson's is resurrected somehow. So the fact that we haven't heard anything, who knows what that is. But remember,
always possible. It's comics.
Yeah, it's exactly. Pretty much all production's been shut down on all Marvel-related projects in the TV and movie side of the house until just recently. I think they started going back to production on Captain America and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, because they're waiting for their big push for Eternals, which they're not doing until after Black Widow. So,
Right. So COVID kind of delayed all their plans there, and DC had a bit of an advantage there, which was, yes, they had Wonder Woman coming out, but they didn't have a bunch of stuff predicated on you have to see Wonder Woman first to know what's going on. So let's just not start pooping all over Marvel because we're like, oh, DC's killing it. Yeah, DC did a fantastic job. Marvel is just keeping their mouths shut for a reason right now.
Listen,
DC
I
fandom
can't help
got
it,
me
man.
excited for DC things, which that hasn't happened in a while.
Right? Well, other than the Justice League Snyder Cut, I still don't care about that.
Not since
Yeah.
Man of Steel have I been as excited.
Really? I'm sorry.
No, it's Willie.
But if I had to pick the one thing
This
I'm most
is the
excited
humor
about
you
that
get.
they announced there, it's James Gunn's Suicide Squad stuff. Looked fantastic.
Yeah, Polka Dot Man, dude. He's pulling out fucking Polka Dot Man. You can't fuck with James Gunn. He's like, oh, they're doing Killer Croc deep cuts. He's like, no, I'll show you deep cuts.
show you
bitches.
deep cuts.
We're going Ratcatcher 2 and Polka Dot Man.
Just in case, Mr. Gunn, if you need a tallish, bald person with or without facial hair in his mask, I don't know. It could be. It couldn't be. We don't know. My brother definitely doesn't have it because he's an asshole. But, yeah, I got you back, buddy. You can put a merkin on me. I don't give a fuck.
Actually, they
Let's
got
do
the big
this.
tall guy. Congrats again to Steve Agee, who is apparently they made sure to emphasize the on-screen, on-set Killer Shark, which means we're getting somebody else's voice. And God, I hope it's Ron Funches.
You're supposed to be
because
having my back, man. My
Ron
back.
Funches is the Killer
My
Shark on the
back.
Harley Quinn cartoon. How funny would it be if he got to be the voice of Killer Shark in the movie?
That'd be
Like,
pretty
that
sweet.
would be so ridiculous.
Or Willie Nelson.
Or Willie Nelson. I guess that's always an option.
There's that. So that's what I wanted to bring
Definitely
up
a cheaper
news-wise.
option.
That is true. DC Fandome. There's a lot of cool stuff that came out of it. I honestly hope that in this COVID-19 era, we start seeing other folks do similar fan events like that, which is just dedicate an entire day to doing like online panels, online reveals of stuff that's coming up because it was awesome.
And there's a lot of like quick cuts where people have gone through like here's the Suicide Squad segment with James Gunn cut down to 15 minutes. Here's a YouTube video of it. Like tons of those are already popping up like as they were happening. So
Yeah, go check it out on YouTube if you haven't seen it. The Batman trailer also defied my expectations because I had low expectations just because I didn't think they could have much there with as much work as they had done.
Are you sure it's not just Die Batman, but in German to English just got mixed up?
I mean, I guess we'll
Sideshow
find out.
Bob.
yeah. But yeah, and like dude, he had the black face paint on his eyes. Like it made sense.
Of course,
Like,
everyone
not-
made fun
not-
of Stephen Amell for doing that.
Yeah,
But
but not
also-
since Kick-Ass has it been done where we've seen it's like, yeah, if you want your eyes to not look like there's a big white circle there, you would have to put fucking makeup on.
Nick Cage did it first.
Yeah, Nick Cage did it good. Little thick
Well-
fucking GoDaddy.
As far as I know.
Big Daddy
But-
was a badass.
Let's put white contacts in next so there's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks good in comics. Doesn't really
does.
work in real life.
You don't know.
Although we didn't
Umbrella
think-
Academy?
All right, to be fair, though, we didn't think they could make Spidey's eyes grow and shrink until they did it recently on movies.
I still argue about that. It only makes sense in the MCU because it is a Tony Stark suit
Yeah.
and it's mechanical. When his cloth mask changes sizes in the comics, it still pisses me off. His eyes shouldn't fucking move. It's a piece of cotton.
It's a comic book.
I know, but it's one of the few things where I can't
Exaggerated
I
world
can't-
physics.
I can't float the lead balloon. My disbelief just shuts that
That's
shit
fair.
down.
We know you have a closed mind, man. You need to
Spider-Man
open
cannot
that.
wink when he's wearing a cloth costume over his face.
Power of Madam Spider.
All right, so let's move on to the next news
Done.
story. Willie D. Nelson, what do you got for us?
Yes, sir. Well, you might have heard me talk about a little bit of game last week. Yeah, one fun one. It came out free for PS Plus. And if you have PS Plus and you don't have this game downloaded, what are you doing with your life is what I have to ask you. Because I am talking about Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout. And what did you know? Do you want to know how many players it has on just the PlayStation alone?
2.
Guesstimate.
At least 2,000 to 3,000.
Just
Well,
2.
we're me and Bachman here are 2, at least by ourselves. Chris over here is being lazy, but whatever.
How am I being lazy? I gave you a guess. I didn't say it was a good guess.
16 million players. That's how many players.
Nice.
And of course, it is free for PS Plus. I'm not saying the game is free because you do have to pay for PS Plus for the online as well, in addition to get the game in your library. But that's still a lot of people playing this game.
How many
Is it
PC
not?
gamers are playing? Have they said?
Do you think I looked that up?
I can give us a rough estimate. Give me a second.
I assumed you might have seen in the article you referenced. It's fine. We'll come back to it later.
It's only talking about PlayStation numbers here, man. I looked down, I looked up and down and
Why
left
I
and
mentioned
right.
that is because you have to purchase the game on PC, so it was an interesting metric to compare against versus PlayStation Plus users who are getting as part of their subscription.
Sure.
The easiest way I
whatever.
check numbers is you look at categories on Twitch, because that'll give you who's streaming the game. So that tells you PS4, Xbox, PC, all combined, how many streamers are streaming a specific game. Right now, Apex Legends, my favorite shooter, has 37,000 people streaming it. There's 65,000 people doing Dead by Daylight. There is 223,000 people streaming Fall Guys right this moment.
Damn.
I'm sorry, how many?
223,000. Almost a quarter of a million. There's almost a quarter of a million Twitch channels right now of players streaming Fall Guys.
That's impressive.
It's basically the top 5 or 6 games combined right now.
And
The
not
only one with higher numbers right now is League of Legends.
Not only that, there's a lot of YouTube videos coming out, and Chris is going to be gracious enough to hopefully post a link to a video that one of us may or may not have took 30 minutes to upload because their upload speed is terrible.
There's a hillbilly dialogue.
No, the hillbillies. He's back there, man. He just don't Beetlejuice him in here. Seriously, Jesus.
Hillbilly.
That's not the right.
Bill Nelson. Bill Nelson.
No, you guys really don't know. You have to say skull a bunch of times, and it just oh shit. But yeah, this is one of the greatest games. You're gonna want to play it if you have PS Plus, PS4. Well, I mean, I hope you don't have PS Plus without the PS4, because why? But if you got the PS4, the PS Plus, get Fall Guys, play it, have fun. Season 1, you have plenty of time. I've already made level 40, the max level, and it doesn't end till when, Bachman? Tell me when, Bachman.
I don't remember. I looked it up before, but
October. You
October.
got time.
So yeah, I get to get back on it because I think I'm only like level 8 still. But
I'm not telling you to do that. Just get onto it to have fun, and everything else will just fall in line.
At some point, I'll get a win. I'll get a crown, maybe.
Oh, man.
So hopefully people won't make fun of me online like poor Tim the Tat Man. What did it take him 600 games to get a win?
I have no idea who you're talking to.
He's a large Twitch streamer, and there was a big thing going where he was talking shit about, I'm not going to lose on a game for 6-year-olds to a bunch of 6-year-olds. And then apparently it took him like 600 matches to get his first win. And apparently there was a big hubbub on Twitch about it because he talked shit about the game and then got on it and kept losing.
See, there's only one person more humble than I am, and that is Drax. But just saying, every time it seems like I just jump on before any of my friends see that I'm playing it, I jump into a match, and more times than not, I win a crown. Then just saying.
Oh, lucky you.
I don't know, man. The game just clicks for me. I mean, Slime Climb took a while to understand and get. But, I mean, I am now pretty good on it. And that link that hopefully Chris has put up is part of Slime Climb. And yours truly teaching some cheaters or watching some cheaters, because I don't teach them ignorant people how to ball.
You
Guys,
I see what you did there.
ultimate knockout.
So, side note, just because I saw this and it made me laugh, there was a comment on one of the Batman trailers out there because we know the Riddler's the enemy. And someone commented and said, "Can't wait till this MF has to find all 274 Riddler clues to finish the movie."
Oh shit!
It just made me laugh.
Wait. No, dude. Do you mean the people going to see the movie have to find the Riddler little thing before they
were
see the movie?
referencing that Batman would have to.
Yeah, the Batman in the movie has to find all the 264 question marks in the city.
When you ended it, it made it seem like the audience members have to find it before they could finish the movie.
We can go that way too. I'm not picky.
I'm gonna punch that Riddler in the dick so fucking hard, you have no idea.
What?
The old dick punch. No one suspects that shit.
Because you shouldn't default to a dick punch in a
It's the
civilized
Riddler.
society. Anthony, what's your news? Because I don't want to talk about dick punches anymore.
The Riddler.
My news is Riddler dick punches.
Thank you. I'm the expert here. Glad I can help. Let me start out. I'm just kidding.
My news is a while ago, DC did kind of a half-ass thing with some of the characters they had, and it was really disappointing to a whole lot of people. And so it was cool to see yesterday during DC Fandome, they announced that DC is finally doing a full-fledged relaunch of one of the comic book universes that they bought, which is Milestone. For those that don't know, it was the black-led, black superhero, black-created universe that Static Shock came from, and Icon, and Rocket, and what was it? Hardwire? I can't remember that. I always forget that one dude's name. But yeah, Milestone is coming back, full relaunch from DC. There's going to be brand new creations. Revived Milestone Returns is, I guess, the imprint. It's going to be a publishing initiative featuring new digital series, new graphic novels, re-releases of the classic Milestone comics, and more. And apparently the tease now is they're teasing a Static Shock movie. What I haven't seen in any of the details is whether or not it would actually be live action or animated. But either way, more Static Shock is always awesome. And the cool thing is they're doing a new Static Shock graphic novel written by Reggie Hudlin, drawn by Kyle Baker, as well as a new Milestone series starring the characters Icon and Rocket, drawn by Milestone co-founder Dennis Cowan. So we're getting Icon and Rocket again with co-creator of Milestone and Icon and Rocket, Dennis Cowan himself, back on the book. So like that alone would be the reason to watch it. And yeah, they showed the thing I saw clicking over to DC Fandom yesterday when I was looking through Twitter was Phil Lamar, the voice of Static Shock. Just put a picture up on Twitter of him standing there wearing a black shirt with a lightning bolt on it. Nice. He's like, "Go check out DC Fandom. There's something happening."
Phil Lamar, he's if there's anyone who could save the USPS, it is that man. Because if you remember Mad TV, I know he worked for UPS, but he could help the mail system. He is the one with all the energy to knock some sense into the whatever's going on there. I don't know.
Phil Lamar is awesome.
That was a deeper pull than I was expecting. Good job, Willie.
For those that don't know, Milestone Media was founded in 1993 by Cowan, Dwayne McDuffie, Michael Davis, Derek Dingle, and through its original comics, only ran for a few years, it focused on diversity and inclusion for black creators and characters, and beyond, made a huge impact on the entire industry today, and now a new generation will get a chance to enjoy the Milestone's world, and new creators will get to make their mark. The Milestone was a huge thing, because it really was the first universe outside the big two that was kind of created and made an impact. And I mean, we all saw what Dwayne McDuffie did, with all his work on the Justice League, all his work on different DC books. Like, the man made a huge impact in the world. And so to get to see his characters come back, to get to see a new generation get hopefully a fully back launch of Static Shock this time, because they brought Static Shock into DC when they first picked up the Milestone thing, but it was really like a half-assed version of it, where it was awesome Scott McDaniel art. I remember on the book. I can't remember honestly who wrote it, sadly, but it went 6 issues and they canceled it. And that was the only thing they did when they bought Milestone. It's we'll try a Static Shock book, and they didn't push it. They didn't really promote it. They just kind of let it wither on the vine and die out. And so seeing that they're actually going to do a full push of a relaunch of all of Milestone and hopefully putting all of the Milestone books on digital to where you can get them on the DC Comics app and in a Comixology. Like, all those books need to be out there because, like, there are some great comics back from the Milestone days. And Icon and Rocket are awesome. But, yeah, the old school Static Shock stuff is just wicked. Like, some of those books are damn good.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm happy to hear that some of that stuff might be coming back. How about you, William D. Nelson?
I need to start reading more comics in general.
Can I suggest you start with the OZ?
I've already said I was ethically first in even getting it. It's already ethically here in my hands,
and then
man.
you can go back and reread Spencer and Locke 1 and 2 and go into the
Yeah.
See, all these problems are solved.
Maybe not going to the Jabba. We're working on that one. Just saying.
All right, that being said, we are about ready to start wrapping things up. But before we do that, we have one last segment for you guys, a little bit called What I'm Into. It's our chance to share with those of you watching live or listening at a later date just what kind of geeky and or nerdy things we've been getting into so that you might want to go check them out yourselves. I will kick things off and say I played a little more of the Avengers beta. I have kind of decided at this point in time that I'm canceling my pre-order and I'll pick it up 6-9 months down the road when the price drops, because we'll see what they've added to the game at that point. Yes, I know it's a beta, and so it may not be the best way to judge it, but it feels awful repetitive button smashing to me at this point in time. And I was like, I got other stuff to play. We'll wait and see. So I am not going to be getting the Avengers at launch. Those of you that are, I hope you enjoy it and have fun with it. I'm not shitting on it like, oh, it's a terrible game. It's just I don't have enough care for it at this point in time. Other stuff I've been getting into. Played a little bit more of Dragon Quest, and then I also picked up on sale in the Switch digital store for $41 on sale Luigi's Mansion 3 and started playing that.
You just now getting that?
It just went on sale this week.
Dude, Halloween last year was a long time ago, man.
Was it on sale for $40 Halloween last year? Probably not.
I'm going to say yes, because you can't fact check that.
Okay, so this was the first time I saw that it was on sale for $40, and I said, you know what, I'll check this out. I think it's pretty fun. I have only gotten to play like an hour of it so far, but I enjoy it. Other stuff I'm getting into.
Gooigi. You've been getting into Gooigi.
I haven't gotten Gooigi yet, or Guluigi.
You wait till you get into
Gooigi. Let's see. Last night I watched some trailers and stuff and footage out of DC Fandome, but what I was more interested in watching was AEW Dynamite had been moved to Saturday because of the NBA playoffs. So AEW Dynamite was a 2-hour show that they'd pre-recorded, but it was damn good. It wasn't the finest wrestling I've ever seen, but they did a really good job of advancing a lot of the storylines they had going on, and they turned Mr. Brody Lee, the leader of the Dark Order, into an absolute monster because he squashed Cody Rhodes in 3 minutes and took his title.
He beat up Arn Anderson.
And he beat up Arn Anderson.
Like,
and then the Dark Order beat up the rest of his family, including his wife.
Is this somebody else who has a time traveling device and went back in time and then defeated Arn Anderson, or Arn Anderson now?
Arn
Anderson now. Yeah, the Wilford Brimley Arn Anderson of today.
Yeah, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard are both on AEW Dynamite this week.
So, I do love that Arn got a good couple of shots in.
Well, yeah, he's AA. He's got to be able to get those in.
Yeah, he's still AA. I wish he could have spine busted one of the smaller fuckers out on the ramp, and then they took him out.
Right. Regardless, though, I continue to enjoy all of what AEW is putting out there. Like I said, this wasn't the finest wrestling I've ever seen AEW put out there, but it advanced all of the storylines, and they turned the Dark Order into being a laughingstock and a joke back in December to arguably one of the scariest factions in the company right now, and I dig the Dark Order. # join Dark Order. What were you doing?
I'll join. I'm going to join the Dark Order. Yeah,
join the Dark Order. Which I think it actually is jointhedarkorder.com.
I think it's just joindarkorder.com. But I'm not
sure.
Just
join Dark Order?
Because it was # join Dark Order.
There is a website. Yeah.
Two questions.
Yes.
How much are they paying?
I don't know.
And 2, if they're not paying, is there at least craft services for food?
Well, sometimes.
I'm in.
You too can join the Dark Order.
YouTube can?
I said you too can.
Oh, well, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, YouTube. I'm sorry you suck.
I'm trying to think other stuff I got into. I don't know. It all blurs together. I have no idea what's going on in life anymore because
Me too.
that's all the same stuff. What have you been getting into, Bachman?
I've been getting into watching a little AEW, getting caught up on some different shows. The launch of the new season of Lucifer was on Friday.
That's what I've been watching. Thank you.
Yep.
I just
Stayed up
started
late and
the
watched that.
beginning of Lucifer. I haven't seen any of it until now.
Okay.
I'm like
So
6
you're
episodes in.
Okay, you're on season 1. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll try to be non-spoilerous as I can,
Spoil it,
especially since it's brand new. But also, I mean, like it just came out Friday. I know people aren't just tearing through it, but yeah, like I stayed up late on Friday to watch the first episode of season 5. For those that don't know, it was one of the shows that got canceled on Fox after 3 seasons. Netflix picked it up for season 4. It did well enough to give them 5, and I guess as they were doing 5, they got greenlit for 6. So I believe it's supposed to end up being a 6-season show. They're going to know as they're going into it that they're ending it at 6, and so it should have an actual solid ending. Season 4 ended on like a great cliffhanger because I think they were pretty sure they were coming back for 5. 5 starts off with a bang. There's some really good stuff in it. And yeah, all you really need to know is what Tom Ellis tweeted out, and that's Michael is a dick. So they keep expanding the cast of the characters that are on Lucifer. And then you get a little more of the same where, Ella's fucking the cutest thing in the world. Maze kicks some ass. And then they actually got to do some really like, in the first 3-4 episodes, you get to see some really like human moments from Maze, which is funny because she's a demon. But yeah, Leslie Ann Brandt got to do some really solid acting that didn't just involve her beating the shit out of 6 guys in a room, which, I would love watching those scenes as well, but they actually got to have her do some touching moments on screen, which is kind of cool. But yeah, that show's so much fun. Honestly, like from this point forward, I will watch Tom Ellis do anything. I would watch that dude read the phone book. Like he's so fucking entertaining. And yeah, the way like now having seen so much more of his social media and the fact that he's so not Lucifer in real life, it's so much cooler to see him playing that character because like if you didn't know Tom Ellis as a person, you would think that the actor playing Lucifer was the most like narcissistic man on the planet because that's how he plays the character. He is fully self-sufficient. He needs nothing from the world. And man, you see Tom Ellis and he's just a normal guy. And it's so fucking strange because that man is a hell of an actor. Because yeah, Lucifer is woo.
He's an asshole.
Yeah.
He's the Nature Boy Ric Flair?
He is because he is styling and profiling 5 seasons in, and Michael's a dick. That's all you need to know about the new season.
Did they get a
Michael's
6th season now too, or something like that?
Yeah, because I believe as they were filming the 5th, I think Netflix greenlit the 6th season and said that's where it's going to end, and so they're knowing going into season 6, I believe that's going to be the end of the show. So this time, they'll be able to do another cliffhanger for season 5, and then when they do season 6, knowing the writing staff, which has just been fantastic. Like the writers on Lucifer are so good. Knowing that going into season 6 will be their end season, I believe we'll get a nice conclusion to the storyline of Detective Chloe Decker and Lucifer Morningstar.
So who sold their soul to keep this show going?
Possibly Tom Ellis, the actual devil himself, might have sold his soul to the devil.
Who himself?
Yeah. Who says the devil can't write himself a contract?
Logic.
Oh, now you want to talk logic. But
yeah, with the
Spider-Man's
devil.
face mask can blink, but the devil can't write himself a contract. Shut your face.
Yeah, it's a cartoon.
Yeah, well, Lucifer's a comic book. What's your fucking point?
We're talking about the live action. Okay, I'm done.
So yeah, that playing a little bit of Fall Guys, playing a lot of Apex Legends Season 6. The new season is so good. Rampart has changed the meta with her ability to build walls and put up a turret. It's made things very different. Lots of little buffs and nerfs. They changed the way armor works. All armor in the game except for gold is Evo armor now. So anything you pick up, you can charge up and make it stronger. They introduced crafting. They lowered how much damage each armor can take, though. And so the time to kill, I think it's TTK. The TTK time has actually come down in the game, so you can kill somebody faster, which a lot of people are complaining about. So apparently a whole bunch of the top tier players are bitching and not playing Apex this season, and fuck them, because the game is fun as hell. and it's only like apparently the people that are mad that they can't get 25 kills in the game are angry right now because someone can kill them faster than they used to be able to. And I don't really give a shit. If you're an Apex Predator and you're complaining about a free game, fuck you. Like those people are just ridiculous anyways. We've already been grinding a bunch of ranked games, made it almost, I think I'm over halfway through silver already. So unlike the last season where like I was way late, I only got silver on the first split, barely got in, just made it into gold on the second split. So I got my gold rewards for last season. This season, like the first night it was out, I played with my buddy Marv and made it almost all the way through bronze, made it into silver. And then, the other night played with V and one of our friends, was it Chris? I think is his real name. And yeah, we were on for like 6 hours till like 4 a.m.
Damn.
Yeah, just played a bunch, but yeah, made it like halfway through silver. So yeah, lots of Apex Legends. I'd already played enough of the Avengers beta that I enjoy the Kamala Khan and the Hulk butt smashing, so I don't really need to play the beta this weekend. I'm pretty sure I'm going to keep my pre-order just because, well, I need shit to keep me entertained while I'm sitting around here doing nothing.
That's fair.
Yeah, reading a bunch of comics. Started rereading the first graphic novel of Top 10 by Alan Moore, which is just a great a cop drama comic book where a world where so many people got superpowers that they end up creating Neopolis, which is a city completely filled with people with superpowers. And the comic book is about the police force, where if you have a city where everybody has superpowers and all the cops have superpowers, how do those people interact with each other? And it's just a batshit crazy world. Really fun read. And then I got me some wrestling tees from the Pro Wrestling Tees shop. And so shout out to my buddy Anthony Rutgazer, Kingdom James. I got this one from his store, which, always a good motto: outlive your enemies. So shout out to, my name is Kingdom James on Twitter. Anthony Rutgazer, writer of The First for Action Labs, and indie pro wrestler badass up there in the Toronto. And then I got me a Patreon in the mail, which came from Tressa Boland, which was awesome because I upgraded my Patreon and got to the new level where she sends out a sticker each month. Got a nice little envelope where apparently she found a llama stamp, which is very fitting because no artist that I've ever met is as like addicted to llamas. Like that's just her thing. Like some people like teddy bears, some people like cats or dogs. Tressa's a huge fan of the llama, so it's funny that she found a stamp with one on it. Got a card here for Power Girl Mob. With great power comes great perks, which is a web comic by Tressa and Sean Cosley and Julian Lytle. Very cool webcomic. Go check out. The sticker for this month is her character Draculama. Drama. Don't start none, won't be none. Is the Draculama sucks drama out of people. And then also included was a card that says thanks for being awesome for a print she did of the Death Trooper from Rogue One. Let's get that on camera. Yeah, awesome freaking Death Trooper. See, I got that in the mail the other day. It was awesome. New sticker, new Death Trooper print. Good stuff. Other than that, and then also I was randomly watching just, random videos on YouTube. I was going through stuff on my computer, and I caught an old CM Punk Phil Brooks interview a while ago, and they were talking about the different projects he's worked on and like him talking with Batista and them being friends, talking about, going into the world of doing movies and stuff post-wrestling. And he had mentioned being in a horror film called The Girl on the Third Floor. I'm like, I know I've heard of that shit. And I went and looked. It was on Netflix. It popped up in my queue. And it was just, a random horror movie. And I didn't recognize anything about it, so I hadn't watched it yet. Did not realize it was Phil Brooks is the star of it. It's not just the star. It's like 85% Phil Brooks. So it's him on camera almost the entire movie. And it's a haunted house movie starring CM Punk. And it's really fucking good. And it took me a minute to realize I couldn't figure out why the fuck he doesn't look like himself. He's cleanly shaved in the entire movie. Oh. And honestly, you take out the lip ring and you cleanly shave him and he looks as weird as fucking Bill Nelson. He looks nothing like fucking CM Punk.
Yeah, man. He looks like that. God, he looks like the asshole back there, man.
Exactly. Look like the asshole in the back of your house.
That bitch there, Carol Baskin. I mean, Bill Nelson.
Exactly.
We could get him for a second?
No, we're good.
Hold on. I'll be right back.
No, we're good. We're good.
But yeah, CM Punk without the lip ring and cleanly shaved looks nothing. He looks like Phil Brooks, I guess. Like, it threw me off. But yeah, The Girl on the Third Floor, if you haven't seen it, it's streaming on Netflix. Very solid, creepy fucking horror movie. And yeah, it's a haunted house movie. And like, there's only 5 actors in it total, I think. Like, it's a really small cast of, small budget horror. But yeah, Phil Brooks is a huge horror fan, and bam, he made himself a horror movie, and it was good. So yeah, go check that out if you're in the mood for some scary stuff on the Netflix there.
Well, that sounds good.
Oh, Bill's back.
I was just about to ask Willie Nelson what he'd been getting into, but it looks like we got Bill Nelson.
Hold on a second. I was told I was invited back onto the show, and
that is incorrect.
Invited would be a stretch.
And slipped about 5 quarters, and I am mighty appreciative. So you stuck with me.
What are you gonna buy for 5 quarters?
All I know is I ain't giving him $1.25.
Man, you don't know anything about what you can do down in Greensboro.
Like a Loch Ness monster from the Paleolithic era.
No, man, that's Tree Fitty. Get it right, you fucking idiot.
I said Tree Fitty.
Whatever.
Thanks, Willie, for coming back. What have you been getting into, Willie?
What are you talking about? No one came back nowhere. Now, you see, here's what is going to happen.
Is this Crawdad Man?
Who the fuck is the Crawdad Man?
Yeah. You sound like Crawdad
Bill Nelson has become the Crawdad Man.
No. You're thinking of Farmer John off the Water Boy and Joe Dirt, probably. That's probably what you're thinking.
No, because we're fans of the league, and so we're thinking Crawdad Man. Don't tell us what we're thinking, Bill D. Nelson.
Well, the league, man, we ain't. What channels that come on?
FX.
It comes on Hulu.
It's now on Hulu.
The only Hulu I have goes around my ex-wife's gut, and it don't come down.
And it don't hoop?
Yeah, you goddamn right it don't.
I hate my life so much right now.
All right. Here. Let me do a little bit of movie magic and just so Willie here. There, you happy, Willie? You happy now?
The weakest transition ever.
Or
don't you fucking do it.
So, Willie, what you been getting into, buddy?
Besides making myself look like a toe,
what was this? Okay, explain. Was this an accident? Was this a shaving incident? Was it done on purpose to make it easier to wear a mask? Like, why? Yeah, why do you look like an uncooked version of yourself?
It was on purpose with pre and post instant regret.
So, what was the pre-regret? You went, I'm going to regret this?
He said,
no, I
knew
I was
going
to.
And then he did it. He said, I look like a toe.
So, I'm guessing there's a lady that asked you to do it, Willie?
No one tells me to do my hair except me.
So, the question I have for you is, as someone who has been very attached to their beard, so much so, in fact, that when they lost a bet and were required to cut their beard, they kept a lock of their beard with them afterwards. Why did you decide to shave said
still
beard?
Up there. It's still up there. You want me to get the beard?
No, I'm just more questioning and curious as to why you made the decision that you made to remove your beard, because we know you're very attached to it.
Oh, I mean, the goatee was just, the beard, I didn't give it I did not care about. I wanted that trimmed down because it was getting too long. I like it when it's like about a double or triple about a day 5 o'clock shadow. That's what I like. It happens. There's a little too much white right in here. Kind of like there's too much white right about in here in the chest region.
No.
I'm turning to a goddamn polar bear, man. That shit ain't
Willie,
cool.
I'm not going to judge. I got gray going through the chin of my beard now.
No. I don't care about that. Somebody said, hey, that's a cool design you put in there. I was like, thanks, man. Maybe I was born with it. Maybe it's just fucking aging. That was
it's
dumb.
Maybelline.
Or maybe I'm turning to a goddamn polar bear. Which reminds me, is there any sports teams who are the polar bears that I can maybe
high school sports? Yes, I don't know of any professional.
Be a mascot, because they're not gonna let me do that.
I don't think they want to let you be a mascot at a high school, Willie.
I know, that's why I'm saying that. I got a restraining order.
I was going to make a McConaughey.
From the principal.
I was going to make a McConaughey joke.
Principal.
From Dazed and Confused.
I know. From the principal.
Yeah.
Oh, and this episode was also brought to you by Frappuccino Starbucks edition brown butter caramel.
So other than
Don't you want that
shamelessly
smooth
shilling,
taste?
what else you been getting into, buddy?
Drinking this. Hold on a second.
We're not even getting paid,
God
guys.
damn, that's good.
We're not even getting paid by them.
I'm getting paid by my taste buds. That's all I know.
How much does that pay?
A good smacking. And don't worry, Chris, I'll return the good smacking to you, if you know what I mean. Bachman, you'll get it when you get it. Yeah, so I've been playing some more Fall Guys. Reached level 40, like has been mentioned before. And now I'm just checking the store daily to see what kind of new stuff is in there, coming in, going out, repeating. You know the drill. But still, you know, I mean, hey, humble brag, man. I get the W's, man. It happens. Where's your Bachman? You got one win right? All right, so far, right?
Mm.
Was that a yes or no?
No, haven't gotten a win yet.
I want to make sure the people in the back heard you. That was a yes. Just fucking with you, man. That's mean to me. I'm sorry. I apologize. Thoroughly and thoroughly.
Willie, I think you're just stupid.
That is more than fair. But Naki also has 0 wins as of my knowledge of right now.
Naki doesn't have a
without looking
PlayStation.
into anything. She has a PC, I bet.
Yeah, if her PC's the same one from when she was podcasting, I don't think it will support that game.
As of my knowledge of before you started talking.
I'm sorry.
Jesus
what was
Christ,
I thinking? I apologize, everyone.
You act like a time traveling device has been invented and it just happens. It just constantly going, man. It's not how it works. But you know when it does?
When does
Uh-oh.
it, Willie?
August 28th, when Bill and Ted Face the Music comes out. And I am ready, and I'm expecting, and I'm going to be pre-ordering. I don't care. It's Keanu Reeves.
I already pre-ordered
And
it.
it's also Alex Winter. In fact, you know what? Alex Winter goes first. It's Alex Winter, and it's Keanu Reeves.
Oh, yeah, it's
Because-
Bill and Ted. He's Bill.
Yeah, Esquire, because apparently he's
No,
he's a lawyer.
Bill S. Preston Esquire.
Yeah, which means he's a lawyer for some reason.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, sure.
No, that's what that means, isn't it?
I don't know.
I don't know, whatever.
I looked it up because I was curious one time.
Then why are you asking us this question if you already know the answer? You're trying to trap us.
Because I was making sure you guys knew too. Because I wanted to make sure I wasn't just seeing something that was wrong and I'm just wrong. Which, man, you know, guys, come on, man, that happens a lot to me, man.
like
I need
Ryan
this.
Reynolds is Batman.
That wasn't me. That was Naki.
You're the new Naki, though. You gotta take it.
Hey, man, no one held New Coke responsible.
Well, we live in a brand new
That's
world.
a deep cut from the 80s.
It is. We
You're
could have gone
welcome.
Crystal Pepsi, I guess, too, if we wanted to go deep cuts.
I mean, I've actually had Crystal Pepsi, and
Me
it
too.
tastes damn delicious.
They even brought it back for a while, but now it's gone.
Because Pepsi is better than Coke.
He's 100% right.
Oh, whoa, what? I am super surprised and super happy. Chris, look up here. Look at me.
Look what you did.
Look at me. Look at me.
I'm the
You're
captain
still the
now.
captain. You're still the captain.
You're the captain now.
I will never try to take captain from you. Is that racist to do that voice of that guy from the movie to try and sound just like him? I hope not.
I don't think so, but I'm not the expert judge of that.
That's
At this
fair.
point, it's a catchphrase. It's not.
Yeah.
I don't think it's racist.
When you try.
If it is, it was unintentional racism.
Yeah, I'm just trying to sound.
And that's what America's all about.
I mean, we were just trying to imitate a movie, not necessarily. Well, let's move past this before we make it worse.
We're not everyone in America.
Let's
just say
not
there are
double
a
down
lot
on
of
our flaws here. Let's move on.
There's a lot of assholes. Look at fucking Bill back there. God damn.
I hate Bill Nelson so much.
Everyone fucking hates Bill Nelson. He has a fucking used car lot.
Is that
You think he
your older
wants to
brother or
use
your little brother, Willie?
twin?
Yeah. Who was born first?
Who was born first?
He was born pecker first and won.
So you're the little brother.
Shut the fuck up.
This explains so much.
It's not the size of the tool, it's how you use it.
Please continue, Willie, with what you begin.
And my tool is not
Jesus
this,
Christ.
not that, but it's the tongue, man. You gotta have that tongue to work, man. You're going, you know what I mean, man? We
Shut
good.
your face hole.
You can't handle the truth, can you?
Thanks, Nagi.
You can't handle the truth. That's all there is to it, man. I'm telling you, man. Make them laugh, and the panties will drop faster than Pompeii over a city.
Willie, I think you're just stupid.
I mean, I can go on like this all day if you want me to get any better. In fact,
you know it.
hold on a second. Someone's calling me right now. Hold on a second. They're telling me I'm right. Bell buddy from across the continent. Thank you.
You're a bad person.
Even
I
you
will
don't agree
never,
with you.
ever once deny that. Are you done, Chris? I'll kind of stop talking
Can
to
we
myself.
stop this segment,
Coming from the
please?
buttons. Other than that, I started watching House of a Thousand Corpses because I've only watched it when I was a high schooler when I rented the DVD. And when I remember back then, the best part of renting the DVD was the menu of Captain Spaulding come out and saying, "What the fuck are you still doing here?" It's hilarious. All 4 minutes of that menu. Watch it with a friend. We started watching Devil's Rejects because I already had 3 from Hell and I don't remember the first 2 except for, oh my God, we got past the part I hate the most in the Devil's Rejects, and that's when Brian Posehn dies. Hurts every time. Bachman, back me up here.
Yeah, I like me some Posehn. I like him. Don't
Oh,
like him dying.
I just
I
saw
haven't seen
him.
Thousand Corpses in a long damn time though. I need
Yeah,
to
it's
rewatch
been
that.
long. Rainn Wilson's in it.
Yeah.
Was that pre-Office?
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah,
When's
him
the
and
last time you
Hardwick.
seen
Like that was before either one of them really had a career.
Wait, that chubby dude was Hardwick?
Yeah, the main lead is Chris Hardwick.
Man, I mean, whatever happened to Hardwick with all the other stuff? Do we remember? I don't remember anything. I just remember hearing something.
He had a problematic ex-girlfriend.
Fair enough. That's all I need to know. I see you. I hear your tonality, and that's all I need to know until later on, not on the show.
And he
Should
married a
people
rich
hear that?
supermodel. So he's doing okay.
Yeah, it's what we all do, man. Come on, it's the plan. I'm done, man. Go on.
I wasn't sure.
Oh wait, of course I played some Super Mario Party last night with some friends and some Jackbox TV. Jackbox Party Pack at Jackbox.tv is super fun, and the new one is still coming out with Quiplash 3 and some other new games. I don't remember exact dates to see it, but I can wait just like you can, and I probably won't be able to stream it because my internet sucks. Willie out. Bill, you still out? Good.
I fucking hate Bill Nelson so much. I'm glad Bill's out because we don't like him. We like Willie Nelson. He's our favorite of the Nelsons.
I'm the best goddamn toe you ever seen.
I'm starting to think Willie has a toe fetish because he keeps referring to himself as a toe.
He just knows he looks like a toe.
Nah, I think I'm going the fetish route.
Hey, Willie, say French fried taters.
Play this shit off now, boys.
All right, that being said, we thank you for tuning in for this special extended edition of the All Things Good and Nerdy podcast. Please go check out the OZ. You can find it at the OZ Comic on Twitter. It'll be in the show notes, all those other things. We love it. We're interested in it. David's a great guest. We're looking forward to having him come on again in the future to talk about some of his other upcoming projects. And let's be honest, he friggin' nailed it on this Kickstarter so far. They got funded in 2 hours. That's amazing.
Yep.
Congratulations to everyone involved in that project. And that being said, we are going to shut this thing down. Friendly reminder, we do stream this show live every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, over on Geeks.live, the official streaming home of the Gonna Geek Network. If you're over there right now, you can scroll down to the bottom of the page, see a calendar of all of our upcoming live events. If you want to see some more live content, I believe the next show is the official GonnaGeek.com show on Monday at 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time. Before we shut this thing down, you guys have any final thoughts for us? Anything?
Outlive your enemies.
Yes, I have a defense in my own honor because apparently no one else is going to come for it.
Bye, guys.
I'm not a coat fetish guy. They're below furries.
Thanks for listening to this brand new episode of the All Things Good and Nerdy podcast. Don't forget, we'll be back next Sunday live at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central over at live.atgnpodcast.com, channel 3 of the Alpha Geek radio app, and over at our network home at gonnageek.com/live. If you have any feedback for the show, please contact us atgnpodcast@gonnageek.com, on our hotline number at 304-806-ATGN, or even better, go to Twitter and send us a message at ATGN Podcast. The music you've heard in this show is produced by Kevin MacLeod and can be found at incompetech.com.